distance. Rogue agent neutralized nearby. Now detecting contaminated gear. Contaminated gear detected. System back online. Agent down. Rogue agent neutralized nearby. Rogue fixer drone detected. Hostile fixer drone detected. Rogue defender drone detected. Hostile defender drone. Boost about to activate. An agent needs assistance. Rogue hive detected. Hostile hive detected. Rogue restore hive detected. Hostile restore hive detected. Rogue agent neutralized nearby.
If the enemy don't return the signal,
Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I'm coming in with my first build video of TU16, and let me tell you guys, it's pretty damn awesome. I haven't been this excited constructing, using, and sharing a build with you all in a long while. There were a few things that I wanted to try out when TU16 first dropped, but nothing quite stood out or was jumping out to me as far as being build video worthy until I started messing around with my healer build. Now originally, I wanted to incorporate the new perfect overclock backpack, and while I did have fun with that, it just didn't quite spice things up enough from the same old setup that everyone uses, right? Well, my friends, that was until I started experimenting with the reworked ongoing directive, and the thought then hit me, why not utilize this new group sharing damage buff with a healer build? And that's exactly what I've done here. And once I started mixing those two things, I came across a number of other talents and options that gel together so well that, like I said, I haven't had this much fun theory crafting and putting together a build in a long while. I hope you were able to tell from the gameplay that this build is an absolute beast. While you're keeping your team alive, you can also give them, at times, up to 85% bonus damage. That's not an exaggeration, and you will see how that is achieved. It's a complete joy to run. It works great in PvP. That's what I designed it for, but you could also very well work it into PvE. I won't waste any more time talking, though. I will let the build speak for itself. I present to you the Blood Doctor. And here it is. So as you can see off the bat, this is no doubt a healer build. I have yellows everywhere, and it is very effective at healing up your teammates. But as I was saying, there are also an insane amount of synergies within this build that allow you to be able to buff your team's damage up to 85% at times. And that is insane. that really makes a big difference. And so, if you've watched my build videos before, I'm going to break this down slightly differently than I normally do because I really want to highlight and exemplify those synergies to really give you an understanding of what makes this build so potent. So we're going to start right here because this is really where a lot of the chain of those synergies and buffs begin, and that is the Acosta's Go Bag Exotic. And this is pretty underused these days, just not, a lot of use in a lot of builds. So I want to quickly go over what it does in case you're unaware. So it has 2 talents. The first one is 1 in the hand. Throwing a grenade refunds it and grants +1 skill tier for 15 seconds. Grants overcharge if already at skill tier 6. So while you will not be getting any overcharge benefits in PvP because overcharge does not work there, the grenade refund is really what's important there. But then there's also a second passive talent called 2 in the bag. +1 armor kit capacity, +3 grenade capacity, +25% ammo capacity, +10% repair skills, and +10% status effects. And on that second one, 4 out of 5 of those bonuses are immensely beneficial for this build. For one, you get an extra armor kit with Survivalist is very helpful, and we'll talk about that. You get 3 grenades, which we'll also talk about is immensely helpful. The ammo capacity is fine. It doesn't hurt you, but it doesn't really help. And then 10% repair skills were a healer, so that obviously is helpful. And then 10% status effects were dealing with the likes of a flame grenade and bleed, so that can do nothing but help. So this is an immensely good exotic for this setup, and you can see I end up with 10 grenades, and you'll see how, integral grenades are to this entire experience. And so when I throw one, every minute I get a free refund. It goes right back up to 10, or it should. It works in the Dark Zone. You'll see that in the gameplay. Either way, having 10 grenades and being able to restock in the DZ and all that stuff, you're going to be flinging these out constantly. And not only is the flame grenade strong on its own, but then we get to the next step of this synergy, and that is the new lefty high-end shotgun and the new talent introduced with TU16, Perfect Sledgehammer. Dealing damage with a grenade applies a mark on a target. Targets with the mark will take 40% more damage to armor and have a negative 30% movement speed debuff. Mark will disappear after 10 seconds. So anytime you throw a grenade with this build, and when you're with your team, you're going to want to have the shotgun out, and then when you throw it, you'll see on them will appear that sledgehammer mark. That's the hammer icon. So not only you would think they're getting 40% extra damage debuff there, right? Wrong. It's even more. So then I want to walk up here and go to Survivalist, because not only, like I said, when you mark them with a flame grenade specifically, one that applies a status effect, you're not only going to be doing that 40% damage debuff, but Survivalist also gives you the passive talent of the tactical link, which group members get 10% bonus damage to targets with status effects. So as soon as you hit them with a flame grenade, which again you have 10 of, and you can refund yourself with them with the Costas, you're giving any enemy that's hit by it a 50% damage debuff. And that is significant. That is huge. But it doesn't end there. Once we do that, not only are you marking them with Sledgehammer and that extra thing, so you're getting 50% damage, but then you get into what Ongoing Directive does, the whole 4-piece gear set that we're using here. The 2 pieces, 15% status effect, so that fire is going to last longer. The 3 pieces, reload speed, but the 4-piece, the reworked one, is really what we're focusing on here. Shooting a status-affected enemy will apply a mark. Killing a marked enemy grants a full clip of hollow point ammo for your active weapon and half a clip of the agent's active weapon to the rest of the party. Marks last for 10 seconds, and the hollow point ammo amplifies weapon image by 20% and applies bleed on hit. So now, as soon as I hit them with that grenade, not only are they getting a 50% damage debuff, but if I shoot them once while they're on fire, there's now that extra mark you can see is Ongoing Directive. Kill them with that, and now me and the entire team gets bleed ammo. That will further loop, so anytime you then apply a bleed to someone else, it'll apply the Ongoing Directive mark, and they will keep, you keep resupplying your team with extra bleed ammo that deals 20% amplified damage, and up at this point, you're up to 70% damage that you're increasing your team with. Beyond that, at that point, you should have your hive down at most times as a healer, and we're running Empathic Resolve, which when you repair an ally, increases their total weapon damage by 15% because we're running 6 skill tiers, and at that point is when you reach your 85% extra damage boosted to your team. But there is still one more buff to go over, because after you hit them with this grenade with the lefty to apply Sledgehammer, and then you shoot them with whatever, to make sure that they have the Ongoing Directive thing on them, that mark. Then you switch to your primary. We're also running Reformation on here, which means if you hit a headshot, that not only applies them for Ongoing Directive, but you've just procced Reformation, which now increases your skill repair by 30%. And if you have your hive down and you're giving them those charges, which also gives them Empathic Resolve, there's going to be more potent charges. You can see how many synergies really go into making this build so special, and it just, culminates in some insane gameplay. And I think last but certainly not least here is that even though we're not using Technician, which gives you a free skill tier, which would give me the opportunity to, put like an extra armor roll on or something like that, the whole reason that Survivalist is so good, well, not only for the passive perk of the extra stas effect damage, which really helps out with all these other bonuses, but the medkit applies to your entire group if they're within 20 meters. And so we get an extra armor kit with Acosta, so we're running 5 armor kits. And again, just to, further reinforce the healing philosophy, anytime you pop a kit, it shares to the entire group, and that's just going to help keep them alive that much more. So I hope you can see just how powerful this build can be when you really combine all of these different things, and that is why it's been such a joy for me to create and run. It's just been absolutely incredible. So also, unlike a lot of my builds where I say I encourage people to experiment and try different things out, you do have to pretty rigidly stick to a lot of these different talents and setups if you want to achieve the same kind of synergies that I'm running here. Obviously, there are different ones you could do, and I'd love to see some of your guys' ideas on that, but I'll go through what really makes this work for me. For your primary, you can run whatever, but just make sure it has Reformation on it, so once you swap back and you're shooting to apply the ongoing directive mark, you're also hitting a headshot, getting that extra skill repair, and further buffing up your heals. For your secondary, you want to run something that has Sledgehammer. Doesn't have to be the lefty, doesn't have to be the new stage left that gives the perfect one, but just a gun with Sledgehammer. You're going to be getting that extra damage anytime you throw a grenade, which, throwing a grenade kind of gets this whole loop going of the damages and the buffs, and so of course, Sledgehammer, you're going to want to have that. For the pistol, run whatever you want, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to run the Busy Little Bee because I'm not already running an exotic, and like I said in my previous video, if you don't have another exotic in use, no reason to not run that, so we're going to have that on there, but also whatever you want there. Then, as we talked about for the gear, we're running 4 pieces of ongoing directive, which is what allows us to share that bleed ammo with the entire group and get that whole synergy going. It doesn't really matter how these 4 pieces are set up, but across the board, what I have is, obviously they all have a skill tier, and then I have 2 with repair skills, I think it's that one, and the holster, and 2 with skill haste. And so if you want a little bit more healing or a little bit more speed with how those come back, you can change that up however you desire. I have found the 2 and 2 to work well because we're really trying to balance the stats well across our 2 healing skills. So however you want to set that up, go ahead. But I run 2 and 2. And then I have 3 across these 3, all repair skills mods, all 20%. And so that'll just buff up the healing even more. And obviously you're a healer, so you want to be healing quite a bit. To further buff that, we're running 1 piece of Alps on the chest piece, which gives 20% repair skills as the brand bonus skill tier, and then skill haste and repair skills, like I said, with a repair skills mod, and empathic resolve, which we talked about. You don't technically have to run empathic resolve, but you could run something like unbreakable if you want a little bit more self-survivability, but I think empathic really just plays in so well to how the rest of this build functions that I would highly recommend it. Then of course we already covered the Acosta's go bag as the backpack, the exotic here that's giving so many useful benefits in its talents that it's almost a no-brainer to run. The only other maybe viable option would be the BTSU gloves for that extra hive skill haste, but with how well this plays into the entire loop that we've been talking about, I just can't see any circumstance where it wouldn't be worth using. Then just to go over the skill stats quickly, we're of course running the Reinforcer Chem Launcher and the Restore Hive, and these 2 are typically the best skills to heal in PvP. If you're going with a PvE option, maybe you go for something like a Repair Drone, but those are really up to you. The stats I have on here, we're getting over 200,000 PvP healing, and on here for the mods, I'm just running a healing one, extra repair charges and health, and then for the Chem, we're getting over 113,000, so that's quite nice. This is only, a small dip from what I used to have on like my fully maxed out healer build. You will get more if you fully spec into healing and you don't care about some of these other buffs, but with being able to buff your team up to 85% extra damage, I'd say it's worth taking a little bit of a hit in the heal department. But at the same time, we're running Survivalist so we can heal them with the kit. There's so many options. On this one, I just have a heal mod and 1 extra ammo mod, and then like I said, we're running Survivalist for that insane med kit to share with your entire group, which we're getting an extra one of from Acosta's, and the extra passive benefit of allowing your team 10% extra damage to status affected enemies, which happens all too often when you're running ongoing directive with a bleed focus and you're running fire grenades. Alright everybody, that is the build. I hope you all enjoyed, and as I said, this has without a doubt been one of the most fun builds I put together and run in quite a while, and yeah, it works wonders to support and buff up your team in PvP. I'm sure this would be a fantastic build to support a heroic countdown group as well, stuff like that. I mean, with the ability to resupply your own stock of 10 grenades, which allows your team to deal 50% extra damage to a target, and then killing that target gives them an extra 20%, which can further loop and loop, all while giving out great heals. I mean, it's just so much fun. I would love to hear everybody's thoughts on this one because, yeah, it's just revitalized healing for myself entirely. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on to be updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts about this build. Everyone, what do you think of all the synergies here with healing and team buffs? Have you tried anything similar? Do you intend to try this out? Perhaps make any modifications of your own? I would love to hear any and all of your guys' thoughts on those bits or anything else. As always, I will be incredibly interested to read through your comments. Despite its issues, TU16 has still been a fun update for me, at least. A lot of these new gear additions and reworks have really reinvigorated build making, and I really hope that's a trend that we see continue for future updates, because this build is just the beginning. But that's all I've got for today, everybody. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until the next one, guys, RogueGold out.